Right. So, okay, I haven't given a diary for, 10 days. So, here's what I've been thinking of. Let's start off with the bread and butter issues. Lawsuit against false advertising. A classic uh, class action, I should say, against uh, those organizations that lie in their advertisements. Professional liars, I call them, and they are appalling role models for our young people. When they see the lies that are being peddled by advertisers, they lose confidence in the whole establishment, the older generation, and the rest of it. They lose confidence in it. So that's the price we pay for all this false advertising. Yeah, another one is teacher shortages in 2,000 of them in New South Wales at the moment. Well, what are we all so surprised about? 50 years ago, when I was training to be a teacher, the number one issue was discipline. That is, behavior of students in the classroom. They haven't solved it. It's too hard. It's the elephant in the room. We need to solve that issue. Now on a more positive note, when I go to on a Wednesday night, I go to a music club, a jazz club actually. And I go in there and nobody knows me, and I've been doing that for a year and a half now. I sit at a table and I get live music played right in front of me free, so I really love it. It's a win for me. But nobody knows me. It's a zero event. Nobody talks to me. People come in their groups, in their pairs, in their couples, and the last thing they want to do is talk to me, a guy who arrives with a hat on, looking like something out of a Wild West cartoon, and he sits down and he reads a book. Yeah, I get it. So anyway, last Wednesday, a waiter comes to me towards the end and he says, "Oh, you're the guy. How you going?" And I said, "What? What?" As if he knew me, and he said, "Yeah, you're the guy who comes here with a hat, and you say nothing to anybody, and you sit there. Really sweet guy," he says. Well, I don't know what to make of all that, but it's very interesting for me to be validated, actually, for my existence to be recognized in this digital world. Because, you can go to that club and nobody will speak to you because you can go in, you sit down, and you order the thing on your phone, the food. And yeah, so it's fascinating for me to be acknowledged and validated. And then I finish up with four quotes that have been in my mind in the last uh, 10 days. And this one is from Pascal, who said, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room." Yeah, exactly, Pascal. You are exactly right. That is so true. I just wish I could sit quietly in a room and I wouldn't have any problems. And that does apply to a lot of people. And if you think of the toxic people that there are in the world around you, but also in the political sphere, all the dictators and so on, that was their problem. They can't sit quietly in a room. So, Pascal, you're the man. Second quote: "The only thing to fear is fear itself." And this was Roosevelt, surprisingly. And it made me think of my recent engagement with the dentist in the last 10 days. The only thing to fear is fear itself. So, in fact, my dentist told me, I mean, to cut a long story short, she told me that, uh, you know, I had 10 days or something before I would have this tooth extracted. And she said, just make sure when you come in, she said, that you load up on codeine and Nurofen so that you know, because she said I might have to drill down into that tooth and crack it in order to take it out. Well, I went home terrified, horrified. I couldn't get the image of my cracked tooth out of my mind. I didn't sleep for the whole week, and I lost my appetite. And eventually, I turned up 10 days later for the extraction. Not in a very good state, mentally, as you can imagine. And then she took out the teeth, or the tooth, without drilling at all. So she didn't need to drill. And she was very good at it, actually. Very interesting the way she did it. But she didn't drill in it at all. So what I'm saying is that she shouldn't have told me that she was going to drill into the tooth and crack it. And oh, well, you know, that just, so that was fear. That made me fearful. So in fact, there was nothing to be afraid of because she didn't have to do it. So Roosevelt was right. The only thing to fear is fear itself. Anyway, she's a great dentist. I really like her. I forgive her. And the next quote is, you really shouldn't tell people more than is necessary. Oh, well, this is a tricky one. I don't know who said this, but yeah, you shouldn't be, in other words, open and tell people more than it's necessary. Wow, I don't know, that will make life really boring for me. I love to chat. That's why I do these podcasts. I can't imagine a life without telling people more than is necessary. I do it all the time. But yes, some people have mentioned it to me that I do sometimes. I am too open and I maybe talk a bit too much, basically. And then the final one is from Gabriel Garcia Marquez, that Colombian hero of mine. You know, we lived in Colombia for 2 years. So, yeah, he said, life is not what one lived, but what one remembers, and how one lived in order to remember it. Wow, he is so right. It's not about my life. I can't compare my life with yours. I'm sure yours it's very different. Of course it's very different. But what's important is, what do we remember about it? What do I remember about it? And how did I live? And yeah, how did I remember it? So yeah, good on you, Gabriel Garcia de Marquez. Yeah, great. Well, that's all there is for today. And well, I don't know. I think that's been quite a productive time, really. Interesting little diary, although it's 10 days since I did the last one. Okay, that's it.